Hello.
Welcome to Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with
Oberon.
and me, Banshee.
And this is our special predictions for 2021.
Our special sneeze, excuse me. For 2021, our special predictions for the world and for the U.S.
Now, we've been in process on it for a little bit, but we've just really gotten down to doing this actually on New Year's Day. So this is being recorded at approximately 6 p.m. on New Year's Day.
So Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Woohoo! 2020 is over. But, we can't expect things to change overnight. We've got a lot of fallout from 2020, and I'm sure some of that will probably show up in the cards today.
Now, we decided to do several questions for both the world and for the U.S. So
they're general questions, and we're going to do two separate readings, one for the world at large and one for the U.S. And we are drawing a card in the mix that will talk about the influence of the coronavirus on the year ahead, because obviously it's still a thing.
And for this reading, we are using decks by the wonderful artist M.J. Cullinane. Specifically, the very rather new Grey Malkin Tarot.
The Grimalkin Tarot. And we are also drawing an oracle card with each. And we're using Cullinane's Urban Crow Tarot. Oracle. Sorry, it's an oracle.
These are both pretty new, pretty hot stuff. So we're excited to be using them for the first time. And we know we have some fans out there.
We have used the Grimalkin in our readings, but we haven't used this.
Yes.
And we've rarely used oracle cards. We use them maybe in our, emotional, or how do I say this? We use it in our shows. At the beginning of the show is card for the collective. I don't know if we've really teamed it up in the reading.
Right, this is going to be a pretty comprehensive part of the reading.
Yes, so stay with us. Let's see what happens for 2020.
Alrighty, so let's begin.
So we're going to shuffle the cards. We're going to start with the world prediction for 2020. And there will be 4 questions in this reading. But we'll throw 3 cards, and one of the cards will be, the last card we throw will be for the pandemic. And then we'll end with an oracle card. All right. Shuffle. So they're very general questions, and we'll just see if we can get a beat on these specific areas. In predicting what's happening in the world next year. Little crumbs, little crumbs. Okay. All right. Okay, so the first question is general theme or focus for the world in 2021. Oh, and I'm throwing out, well, yes, we're throwing 3 cards. I'm sorry. It's New Year's. Wow, so the general theme. And remember, it's the first 2 cards that are really about this general theme. And the first card is Judgment, and it is reversed. The second card is the High Priestess, reversed. Well, I think the general theme or focus for the year ahead is maybe not using foresight to foresee some events that are going to throw us off our game in 2021 worldwide. I feel there are unforeseen events, or maybe that just, we should have thought about, we should have been able to predict what happened, but we did not. And there's ramifications for that with Judgment.
These cards sort of say that there are recriminations to some degree. Like there's a lot of scrutiny by various people, countries, officials, agencies, and things. And they're kind of like, we want answers, or we feel it's your fault. The whole blame game kind of thing's happening. I think somewhere in there, this implies a little bit the mix that religion may end up feeling, especially organized religion, because when it's become pretty clear that maybe some of the attitudes that religion wanted to lax perhaps for themselves didn't help, or that maybe, super spreading happens where it does. And so
okay.
I'm just looking at it from that point of view, the religious angle, perhaps, a spirituality thing.
Well, this is a general one,
Understood.
but I can see that. So you're bringing the pandemic into it a little bit here. What I think, though, religion aside, I feel that there is something that the world should have realized would happen, whether it's related to the coronavirus or maybe some of the fallout because of the coronavirus. They didn't use their hindsight or, their inner gut feelings. And I believe there's going to be consequences. I just think we can agree one way or another that judgment is about consequences.
It's recriminations, and maybe I was jumping the gun with the church there, but I think it's recriminations because of the non-acceptance of science.
Okay. Yeah, I like that.
The idea that there was a whole bunch of people who said, oh, I don't believe in this, your science, I don't believe this.
Mm-hmm. So let's bring the pandemic into the mix now with the last card. What kind of influence does the pandemic have on the general mood or atmosphere or focus for the world in the year ahead? You want to show that one, Mr. O? That is the devil in this deck upright. And so I think basically the pandemic still is having an effect of tying us up, of keeping us in thrall, in bondage. We are still living worldwide in reaction to what's going on with the pandemic in 2021. At least a good part of 2021 from the looks of it.
Well, we're going to see limitations and restrictions, and it may be that some peoples of the world may suffer more from that than others. I won't necessarily want to delineate that.
Could this also mean that maybe, again, there's going to be maybe travel restrictions and things of that nature as well?
I think that in general, what it does is it creates a situation where there's a sense of bondage. It's what the devil's about, and that people may feel that they're really now trapped in their situations because there's going to be so little fluidity and nobody really overseeing this. We're having a breakdown of science and other things, so nobody's really looking at how this is going to be transveyed, regulated, whatever, so that those with little means to mitigate their ways through the various ramifications of the pandemic could, be suffering.
So in a sense, they kind of fit together, these cards. But let's remember that this was really about some unforeseen circumstances or something that we were not prepared for, but we should have been. And so, that could be about anything, maybe even about a world disaster, crisis, some country, starting a war with another. It's something, though, that we really should have realized there was going to be the culmination. This was going to happen this year. There was a potential for this. And maybe we could have avoided this.
Well, this card affects these cards, right?
This card is actually what I think is... this card is actually how it impacts the world in the year ahead. And so whether it's from this situation or it's something completely different, remains to be seen. I feel there is a connection here. He sees it, I see it. You, with your religious angle, I think you went right to it.
Yeah, but I'm pulling back from that just because you've guided me.
But I think it fits in the long term once you bring this card into the mix.
Some of religion can be restrictive too, and this sort of can be that aspect of
But also there could be unforeseen things related to this. Like, for example, what if some newer strain comes out that is vaccine resistant, and that puts us in a whole nother ball game? So that's what I'm saying here. We might have had some unforeseen consequences happening, whether it's related to that or it's something else.
Indeed.
And since this is an evolving reading we're doing, I'm going to try something different in the next one question we do here, just slightly different.
Now, what is this for again? And let's explain it.
It'll help focus us more. This is going to tie it all hopefully together. It's going to just play into, I think, the theme for the year. So go ahead and pull one, Mr. O, and let's see what we get.
And this is from the Urban
Crow
Crow
Oracle.
Oracle.
What's the word?
Fear. Well played,
Yeah.
Mr. O. Well played.
Well, it depends. Do you see me
Fear.
doing the scream in that, what is it, Munch drawing?
So fear ties the idea of what these themes for the world are with also
the pandemic
their
thing.
pandemic, or what the effects of the pandemic are.
It could very well be that, we've seen a couple of different things with the pandemic thus far. We have seen people who are afraid to go out and, relive their lives again. And then we see people who want to do it with abandon and don't care if they get ill or spread the virus. I feel fear is indicating there is it's a hard time getting back to normal again after a situation where we've been so isolating. And maybe that's part of the problem.
I think one of the things too is that many people maybe will, going back to the religious angle, is fear that this is a divine retribution, perhaps, because of wickedness, the devil kind of thing. So there's the idea that somebody else has doomed the world and everybody's afeared of that, or all those people are afeared of that.
So whatever this situation plays out to be, fear is generated by this. Are we fearing for a world war? Are we fearing for an economic crisis? Well, I guess we'll see with some of the questions coming up, right, Mr. O?
Right. Will we fear if science really falls? If the high priestess reverse
higher knowledge really falls.
Yeah. Will that be something for us to be scared of? Indeed.
Oh, it's scary.
Okay.
We didn't want to start that way, guys. We really didn't. So, hey, financial outlook for the world. Let's get into that now and see what we have. And actually, I'm going to let you shuffle first so I can cut this time. Let's do that. Ooh, my hands, they be cold. Brr.
Hopefully that's
cold
a good
in this
sign.
room. And since Mr. O dressed up, I felt I had to put on a nicer shirt too.
Well, I wanted to look casual, so I have the little loose necktie there. Like we just walked out of a cocktail party or something.
Well.
Did you shuffle?
No, I'm going to cut for you, Mr. O. So we're a little choppy with that first one, but I think it all does make sense. All right. One more, and I will cut. All right. Okay, so the financial outlook for the world. We're going to lay the first two cards and keep the pandemic one out of the mix. So,
the theme or the overall impression.
Yeah, the overall impression about finances. We have the Four of Pentacles, and that is
more wealth hoarding.
Upright.
Oops,
and then we have the Two of Wands reversed. So, what this tells me in financial world is that, there's lots of plans to restart economies, to get things going again, to get everybody back to work. Well, it's going to be hard still, and it shows that a lot of people are holding back. A lot of employers cut jobs during this crisis, and it's possible they're not willing to open those jobs up again. Maybe they got their employees used to doing less with more. So I think that is a real threat.
I agree with that. I said wealth hoarding when I saw that, but this one here, this Two of Wands. I had a thought, and now I've lost
it. I'm sorry. You want to keep babbling? Because I got more.
Go ahead. It's the Two of Wands reversed. And I guess it's the feeling like maybe... I'm drawing a blank. I'm really sorry.
Okay, I wanted to go, so let me.
Go ahead.
So if it comes up, just stop me. So, in the economics of the world, it seems like it's going to be hard to get things restarted again. I really believe that. I do believe there's going to be a hoarding of wealth. I do believe in some sectors there could just be a hoarding of supplies and economy. And people are not that willing to spend their money because they're afraid. They're afraid of doing it. And maybe they don't want to invest because they're afraid of what the markets are going to do.
It just looks bad for the economy overall, like maybe there is no real startup and that a lot of things are going to have to really alter and change. And wands are fire, transformative energies, but this is the Two of Wands reversed. So to me, I think this is kind of saying that nothing is really for certain in this next year. Nothing is for certain, and that probably those who can will redeploy their resources. But I think we're going to see more wealth hoarding before that even.
So economic uncertainty, I think that's the key.
Yeah.
Now, what does the pandemic, the progress with the pandemic or not, throw into the mix? Look at that. It's strength reversed.
Strength reversed.
I really think there's going to be this aggressive push in 2021 to just keep moving forward. I feel that, and I feel that we are still weakened so much by the pandemic that it's not going to work.
Well, I sort of feel the whole, tug worldwide with avoidance of trying to really do the right things and to put capitalism or to put commerce at the key priority, despite the fact that things are going to devastate if resources have to redeploy. What are we going to do? Let people just die? And so I feel like this sort of,
in a way,
encapsulates the idea that there's going to be a fierce battle here for people's so-called right to their economy, and then just the idea that maybe people's rights are going to be trampled a little bit because there's some bullyism going on here with a card like this.
Right, there's something aggressive. I have to agree with you on that one, Mr. O. I'm going to let you pick this one, too.
What can possibly link
I'll pick the next one, but
these together? And I pulled that first one. Influence.
Wow. Influence. Well, again, let's look at that in relation to what we see here. I feel that there is this push, like I said, kind of an aggressive push to get things going again. And what is going to have the main influence in the year ahead? Is it going to be, the pandemic that's going to have the final word? Is it going to be this push to move us forward despite continuing upswings in death and whatnot, to just keep moving forward?
It could very well be that the stratification or re-stratification and reclassing of people, depending on what their status is, whether they've been vaccinated or whether they're not vaccinated, all these things may play into a new formulation. I mean, I think these are the times that really try people's souls, because maybe perhaps by the end of this year people are going to be doing really things we wouldn't foresee happening, and that maybe people are going to be making really much more opportunistic kind of moves towards getting things regulated.
It may be possible too, indicating to me that the most influential people will be the ones that benefit the most from this economy. The people with status, the people with, the upper classes, those are the ones that are going to be able to benefit from this disorder, whereas the rest of us are just hanging on to our resources and hanging tight.
I agree.
All right. Let's move on to number 4, which is... number 3, which is the social outlook for the world. Always important. What is going on between the social classes and, our world? How are we connecting and getting along with each other in the world?
Right.
Foreign affairs, foreign relations.
The various things that are in society and culture, how are they changing in this year ahead?
Our cat wants to be noticed, so if you hear crinkling of paper, I can't stop her, and I think she's
Oh,
doing
dear.
it deliberately.
Found something to
Yeah, to get
mess around
attention.
with.
Yep. So you're me cutting again? All right, I'll get you.
I already, yeah. I thought
You
did
picked
I?
him up then?
No, I thought you started last time.
Oh,
Didn't you start shuffling last time?
I did.
That's all. I just reversed the
So
order.
okay, I did. So you can cut. Why is she doing that?
Because she can. She has claws and teeth, and
I think we have to cut this part out because I'm going to have to clobber her.
a nervous tick of
I know
some
you
sort.
will cut that out, Mr.
Right, we would never want any of our wonderful fans to know that.
Yeah,
Well, never mind.
we don't abuse our cats.
Well, never mind.
All right.
And if we have to put her on the set to prove that she's alive, we will.
And
But-
fine. And fine.
Okay, so our first
Go
two
ahead.
cards, and this was about the social influences of the year for the world. And we have
Just put the second card down too.
Okay.
That's the Page of Pentacles reversed and the Queen of Swords upright. Interesting that we have people cards in this social view of the world. And I think that, what's going to be the real stumbling block between people here is the economy, is their finances. People want people want good news. People don't want this to continue. We've been on kind of a roller coaster in downturns, so many businesses failing and restaurants and things worldwide. There is just a struggle to keep people want things to improve. They want a fresh start.
Right. This does not spell well for what people are thinking about, but it is possible that it won't be all that bad. But I think the real takeaway from next year, or the influence of next year, is this Queen of Swords, because I think the Queen of Swords suggests to me that a lot of people are going to have to figure out
How to work together?
well, no, I'm actually thinking about their own self-severity, their own self-budgeting, their own self-austerity. I think people are going to really have to learn how to manage themselves, and that may broaden to their communities. Like maybe there'll be more community groups where people will try to do community gardening or things that will be good for building.
Well, I do see communication here. I do.
Yeah.
I feel that, the queen is somebody who really wants to be objective and hear both sides. She's somebody who can listen as well as speak clearly and concisely and get to the heart of things, cut to the chase. And I think that people now, maybe in this year ahead, are starting to recognize that if they want to turn this thing around and they want, better financial security, we have to learn how to communicate effectively with one another and work together constructively, like as you say, in community groups.
Well, what I'm seeing here, though, is the sense of regulation, and maybe it's more regulation about things on a smaller personal level, but that may enact to the greater level. But I'm seeing that this is a lot about people trying to figure out what their personal regulations need to be, how they need to operate. It's about an operating procedure for the citizens of the world in a way, and I think maybe to some degree it comes.
So I'm not sure I understand. Are you saying this is on a personal level or a global level?
It's on a personal level for the world. It's like it's like a global citizenry of how,
I think what you're saying
it's
is
Maoism around the world or something.
I think what you're saying is that, this is not what people want to hear. They're going to throw the socialism word out, etc. But I think what you're saying is people have to understand certain behaviors they're going to have in order to turn this Page of Pentacles right side up. If it's wearing masks longer, if it's, social distancing longer, we just have to figure out how to do it effectively. And that's where the Queen comes in with her logical thought and thinking.
Right, so it could very be a good thing, that just basically new collective kinds of
Well,
associations of making
I don't feel
structures
we're
work.
all right. I don't feel we're all going to be like little robots running around doing the exact same things by any means, but I do feel that we are going to find a way, we're going to understand what kind of rules and regulations we need to have in place to back, have society function better. Maybe that's what it's about too. But let's throw that pandemic card out now and see what we have. Wow, I'm not sure what to make of this. I have the Empress here with the pandemic and social things. What I think is positive, actually, I feel that there's going to be some, that people are going to finally maybe come together more. As the death toll keeps mounting and hospitals are turning patients away, and I don't think that's just in the US, that's worldwide. Britain has a serious problem right now. So I'm seeing this continuing at least into the early part of 2020, and people coming together more to try to be understanding and help rather than harm one another. I think that's the most positive card here.
Yeah, oh, it's incredibly positive, and I think that's exactly right. You're exactly right, Banshee. I think that this card means that from that world perspective, the ultimate effect of the pandemic is really kind of like saying, let's figure out how to heal the world, how to rebirth the world, how to re-enchant the world, how to basically get it repaired and make it bloom again.
Do you want to hold them out for me to grab one now?
Alrighty, so yes, I do. And you're drawing this to see what links these concepts here.
Or what's underlying them, however.
Right. Well, what links these guys is the idea of distraction. So the idea is that although there's a lot of things that people are going to want to focus on and say, we need to build this, we need to build that, something about the pandemic will make a lot of other heads say, no, we need to pull together and not have that distraction. So this is really saying like the avoidance of the distraction is really making the world come together and say, repair and rebalance, not just take care of yourself, get over that part about where the economy is going. So in other words, maybe people will realize that the destroyed economy is the distraction to taking care of things in the world.
Okay, distraction to me indicates that, I think there's a lot of things that have been distracting us from the fact that we have a common enemy, and it's that pandemic. And so we have to be clear that we are not distracted by selfish motivations, that we are not distracted by argumentative behavior, about how best to start up the economy and stuff, that we need to get on the same page. We need to not be dividing ourselves with these various points of view. We need to look for our commonalities and move forward. And the next question is the environmental outlook for the world. And this is the last card in this reading, so we'll see how this goes. So climate, the environment, how is it affected by everything? And we actually are throwing a pandemic card for this, but I wasn't really sure how that one was going to work out. We'll see. Kind of quiet in between. And now that you know who nearly took down the set, they're gone. All right. So, the environment. We have the Eight of Cups and it is reversed. And we have the Four of Wands and this is upright. Wow, how interesting that is, you know? I'm going to let you go first because I've been going first a
Well,
lot.
to me,
but-
it kind of represents a paradox because within the idea of this being the way the world is thinking about this or dealing with this, is that maybe there is this sense that they can't really move ahead somehow, and that they're just sort of stuck where they're at, or that they have to reconsider things somehow without really making any progress forward. But yet we have that
Careful.
Four of Wands, and the Four of Wands to me more or less says that at least there is some sort of consensus here, or there is some sort of agreement, or there is some sort of reason to look at it in a better light. There seems to be something good here, despite the fact that people are not really feeling they can move beyond what they had, or that they're not seeing. I mean, on the other hand, from a totally thematic point of view, this could be saying going back to old ways rather than exploring new ways. And in the case of the environment, the old ways were rather maybe more the best, more ecological ways when you think about going way back, of course. Just a thought.
I think I forgot what I was going to say now.
Because it took too long?
Yeah, that's okay. It's all right. I think that the Eight of Wands is,
Cups.
I'm sorry, the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups is here because we really are having difficulty moving forward at this time because we are still in the mindset of overproduction. I really feel like, this is building something, the Four of Wands. Now, I know generally it's a positive card, and I'm kind of throwing this under the bus.
No, that's a good observation.
But I feel that, we might be still in this mind frame of overproduction. And we really can't sustain that. And we have to realize, I think we have to realize at some point here in 2021 that there is no going back to this kind of behavior. We have to change. But I think for a good part of 2021, we're not even thinking about that.
Banshee, I have to really commend you for that. That was absolutely wonderful. And if no other reason, I don't know if you read this recently, but this was recently in the news that a study actually shows that for some time now, every year, what is manufactured, what is made from metals and plastics, etc., is the equivalent of the weight of the world. Every year we make the world over again in its weight with just stuff, whether it's buildings,
I
toys.
did not read that.
And so that's it.
Wow.
We are a culture and a society that wants to just keep making things, and we're polluting our world. We're overcrowding our world with stuff.
And talk about interesting. Now, this is how the pandemic affects this. And it might also be, well, I'll just throw it out there because I'm very fascinated by this. I have pulled the Six of Swords reversed. And to me, doesn't that mean first off, it means we're not making headway fast enough on this pandemic. And the way it is impacting the environment, I feel, is it's putting some of the stuff at a standstill right now. I mean, who can afford to invest and create new technologies and stuff when we're barely keeping afloat now? I mean, maybe we'll find a way. Of course, we always seem to find a way, but it seems like there's going to be some stagnation in the environment and also possibly in the pandemic itself. It's dragging on. So I had a prediction, I believe, with our pandemic reading last year, Mr. O, that, and I should check it, but I'm nearly positive I'd said that I felt the pandemic would not be under control till the summer. So that's half a year, So we have to get through at least half a year of this before we start seeing any light.
I can't add a lot to what you're saying here, but I think what's very fascinating for me is that both the Eight of Cups reversed and the Six of Swords sort of indicates journeys not being able to be taken, or decisions that are being re-evaluated or even pulled back from. We're changing our mind about a direction. Over here, this is the pandemic's effect. It's maybe making a lot of people realize that there is no solution that's easy. There's no way away from this, and that you will have to consider this. But it's going to take maybe most of the year for us to arrive at the solution that, and from that world point of view, that we have to figure out how to deal with it. There are so many people in the world who think it's somebody else's problem. It's not even really a problem. It's not reality.
Flip bomb Phantom.
What ties it together?
Direction. We need direction. We need to find our compass. We need to figure out where to start to change things. We need a new direction, perhaps, because with these two cards anchoring here, the Eight of Cups and the Six of Swords reversed, both reversed, we don't seem to have a clear position of where we're going.
We have no direction. These two cards are saying, I don't know which way to go. And we talked about this whole idea about the only seemingly constant that nobody wants to address is the fact that maybe we need to stop being this overproductiveness that we have here.
And
so
we need somebody
who can
other
bring
than,
us that.
Greta, world leaders to truly lead on the environment.
Right, and this has to come from the world, because this may not be the thing that this country can do, our country, America.
Right.